What do you do when the woman who used to walk like a goddess in the palace is suddenly told to pack her bags and move into the servants' quarters? The land of the golden crown is shaking. Olori's shadow has just been served a 24-month ban by the Golden King, and the sight of her rivals helping her carry her boxes into a modest flat is enough to make the heavens weep. Is this the end of her reign or the beginning of a painful penance? May every storm in your life that is meant to disgrace you be turned into a season of deep wisdom. May God give you the strength to humble yourself so that He can lift you up in due time. Amen. Welcome to Crown Gist. If you want the truth behind the palace walls, hit that subscribe button right now and join our growing family. To my Crown Gist friends and families, we have deep respect for the Yoruba culture, so we use fictional names for sacred roles. Stay with us and you will understand them perfectly. The mourning in the land of the Golden Crown did not bring the usual peace. Instead, it brought a heavy cloud of disbelief that settled over every villa and courtyard. The news began as a whisper, then grew into a roar. Olori's shadow was being moved, but it wasn't just any move. The Golden King had signed an order that felt like a physical blow to her entire legacy. My Crown Gist friends and families, imagine the scene. You wake up thinking you are the lioness of the kingdom, only to find the palace guards standing at your door with relocation papers. The order was clear. She was to leave the royal apartment immediately and move to the senior female servant quarters. In the palace where you sleep, in the greatest sign of your rank, to move from the luxury of the royal chambers to the servant wing is the ultimate humble pie. As soon as the news broke, the reaction was like a volcanic eruption. Her loyalists, those who have been her ride or die through all the palace wahala, scattered in shock. They didn't just talk, they wept. Some fell to their knees in the middle of the palace grounds, crying out that this was too heavy. They argued that the Golden King knew the truth, that Olori's shadow was manipulated by the Golden Crown elders. They reminded everyone how the elders exerted pressure, how they twisted her decisions, and how they used her like a pawn on a chessboard. Mercy should have ended the matter, they shouted. They felt that since the manipulation was proven, she should have been forgiven, not relegated. But the Golden King was not moved by the noise. His judgment was firm and heavy, a 24-month ban. For 2 whole years, Olori's shadow is not allowed to go close to the king's chambers. She is forbidden from dining with him. She cannot even step into his kitchen. This is a total expulsion from the royal presence while still inside the palace walls. The weight of this dishonor is what broke the hearts of her followers. They said it felt as if the Golden King never truly felt anything for her. To treat her like a stranger after all these years, it was a pain that words could not describe. But while the air was filled with protest and anger, Olori's shadow herself was doing something that no one expected. She wasn't shouting, she wasn't fighting. She was standing still, watching her world change in a single morning. The palace understood the meaning of this move. The senior servant quarters are not a place of filth, but they are a place of order, duty, and accountability. It is where the women who have served for years live. Women who work, not women who rule. By moving her there, the king was stripping her of her Olori title in practice, if not in name. He was telling her that for the next 2 years, she must learn what it means to be a servant of the crown. The drama was thick, you could cut it with a knife. As the guards began to pack her boxes, the realization hit her loyalists. The wahala had finally come home to roost. The pride of the past was being traded for the silence of a modest flat. The mighty shadow had finally been brought under the light of justice, and the transition was tearing the palace apart. The atmosphere was thick with the scent of dust and damp earth as the palace guards began the heavy work of moving Olori's shadow's belongings. My Crown Gist friends and families, you need to understand how deep this pain goes. We are talking about a woman who used to have people running to open doors for her, now watching her life being packed into boxes like a tenant who couldn't pay rent. Her sisters were wailing and her loyalists were following the guards, begging them to be careful with her things. But the guards were just following the silent command of the Golden King. While the noise of the crowd was loud, Olori did something that made everyone freeze. She didn't scream. She didn't call on her spiritual fathers or the Golden Crown elders to come and save her. Instead, when she finally opened her mouth, her voice was as steady as a rock, though her eyes were red with unshed tears. She told her people, "If this is my penance, I am ready to pay it." Those words hit the palace like a physical blow. Penance! She admitted that even though she was pushed by others, even though Ogunjaye and the other elders had put words in her mouth, she was the one who spoke them. She acknowledged that she should have questioned things more deeply. She admitted that she should have chosen silence when she chose action. As they arrived at the senior female servant quarters, the crowd went silent. This place is called the House of Duty. The senior servants, women who have spent 40 years cleaning the royal silver and organizing the king's laundry, stood at their doors watching. They were not mocking her. They were watching a queen become one of them. Then came the shocker that will stay in the history of the land of the Golden Crowns forever. TikTok Olori, the very woman who has been at loggerheads with Olori Shadow for years, stepped out of the crowd. Everyone expected a fight. People held their breath, thinking TikTok Olori would laugh or mock her fallen rival, but no. TikTok Olori walked up to Olori Shadow, looked her in the eyes, and reached out to help her carry one of her heavy bags. My Crown G's friends and families, the silence was deafening. She didn't just carry the bag, she was seen gently picking pieces of lint and dust out of Olori Shadow's hair, whispering to her to be strong. The pain of the moment was so heavy that even the enemy became a sister. They say even the guards had to look away to hide their emotions. They led her into a 3-bedroom flat. It was clean, yes. It was functional, yes. But it was not the palace. The furniture was simple wood, not gold leaf. The sitting room was meant for sitting, not for hosting royal households. The Olori was now a resident of the 7th wing. African Nigerian narrator. The first night in the senior servant quarters was the longest night in the history of the palace. My Crown G's friends and families, the reports coming out say that while the rest of the palace was sleeping, the lights in Olori Shadow's flat stayed on. How do you go from a king's embrace to a worker's bed? People are starting to talk about the calculating mind of the Golden King. Many are saying he is a genius of justice. You see, if he had banished her to her house in the UK, she would have lived in luxury and people would say she escaped. But by keeping her in the palace and putting her in the servant quarters, he has kept her in a place of constant reminder. Every time she walks out of her door to get water or to walk the grounds, she sees the main palace where she used to rule. The wives are starting to feel a deep pity for her. They are looking at Queen Naomi's villa, which is glowing with peace and light, and then they look at the servant quarters where Olori Shadow and Gospel are now tucked away. It is a reminder of the biblical law. Touch not my anointed. The palace people are whispering that they overdid it. They went too far in the wahala against Queen Naomi, and now the law of retribution has landed. Olori Shadow has accepted her 24-month ban with a humility that is making people wonder, is this a new woman or is she just playing a long game? She has been cut off from the royal kitchen completely. For 24 months, she cannot cook for the king, she cannot taste the royal food, and she cannot enter the chambers. This is a total social death inside the palace walls. Even Gospel, who is in the junior quarters, is said to be in a state of total collapse. The hierarchy has been reset. The Golden King has shown that the crown is not just a piece of gold you wear on your head. It is a weight of character. By stripping them of their rank and putting them among the Abayas, he has shown the whole land of the Golden Crown that he is the one who gives honor and he is the one who can take it away. The atmosphere in the senior quarters is now one of discipline. Olori Shadow has to follow the rules of the house. No special guards, no special favors. She has to live, eat, and move like a senior servant. The loyalists who were shouting mercy have gone quiet, realizing that the king's mercy was actually allowing her to stay at all. The silence in the land of the golden crown tonight is not the silence of peace, it is the silence of a graveyard. My crown guest friends and families, the most heartbreaking part of this update is the physical barrier that has now been placed between Olori's shadow and gospel. You see, the Golden King is not just a ruler, he is a master of strategy. He knows that if these two women are allowed to put their heads together in the servant quarters, the wahala might start all over again. Reports from the palace engine room say that a strict order has been given to the security team. Gospel, who is in the junior servant quarters, and Olori's shadow, who is in the senior servant quarters, are effectively under a no-contact rule. They are living inside the same palace walls, but they are worlds apart. Even though Olori's shadow is just a few blocks away, she cannot walk down to visit Gospel, and Gospel cannot climb up to see her. They are each facing their penance in total isolation. As the moon hangs over the palace, Olori's shadow is said to be sitting by her window in that modest 3-bedroom flat, looking out at the main villa that used to be her home. She can see the lights of the Golden King's chamber from a distance, but she knows that for 730 days, she is a stranger to that room. She is a neighbor to the women who wake up at 4 a.m. to start the palace fires. This is the reality of the 24-month ban. No royal meals, no royal perfume, just the smell of hard work and the sound of duty. They say the weight of the dishonor is so heavy that Olori's shadow has barely touched the food brought to her. How can you eat when you know that just a few weeks ago you were the one giving orders and now you are the one being told when to turn off your lights? Her loyalists have gone quiet, realizing that the Golden King has successfully plucked the feathers of the birds that were flying too close to his son. The wives of the palace are in deep reflection. Seeing TikTok Olori help her rival pack her bags was the sign that the era of fighting is over. It is now an era of survival. Everyone is looking at Queen Naomi, whose villa remains a sanctuary of peace, and they are realizing that you cannot fight a grace that the heavens have ordained. Olori's shadow accepted her fate, but the path of 24 months is a long, lonely road. Will she use this time to truly change, or is he just waiting for the clock to tick down? Only the Golden King knows the final end of this story. For now, the shadow has moved to the quarters and the gospel of her reign has been silenced. The palace is breathing a new kind of air, an air of discipline that says no one, no matter how high, is bigger than the crown. Now, my crown guest friends and families, listen to me very carefully. Before you take this to the bank, remember that everything I have shared with you today is alleged and unverified information. These are social media rumors and whispers from the palace corridors that have not been confirmed by any official statement. Please do not take these as absolute facts. We are only here to give you the juice that it is dropping on the streets and social media. Thank you so much for being the best part of Crown Gist. Your support keeps this channel moving. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right now and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next massive update.